In this part of the Vampire Survivor series tutorial, we will be implementing a more robust save system than the one we had in the previous part. As we have recently created a save system asset called the Bench Universal Save System for the latest part of our Metroidvania series, we are going to upgrade our save system to use it. And to test out the save system, we are also going to implement a power-up feature into our project so that players will be able to buy something with the coins that they have collected from runs. Before we overhaul the save system, let's implement power-ups for our game. In Vampire Survivors, power-ups are items that you can purchase from the shop with the coins that you have accumulated. Previously, we covered how to save coins across multiple game sessions using a rudimentary save system. But as of now, there is no way for us to make use of those coins. We will implement a power-up system so that it will no longer be an issue. To do this, we will first create a new scriptable object called Power-up Data, which will allow us to define a set of power-ups that the player can buy and use in the game. The most important thing about the Power-up Data script is that it inherits from the passive data class that we implemented back in part 15. The reason it is designed this way is because power-ups behave most like passives, and we want to piggyback on the functionality of passives to minimize the amount of additional code that we will need to write. Aside from inheriting passive data, the power-up data script also has three properties that will allow us to set the cost of the power-ups and how this cost scales as we level up the power-up. First is the base cost, which determines the amount of coins that a power-up will cost when you first buy it. Second is the base fee, where the amount of coins that each level will increase the base cost by, and it will rise exponentially the higher the level of the power-up we are purchasing. Lastly is the fee factor, which controls how quickly the price of the power-up will increase with each level. At the default value of 1.1, this means that the additional fee per level increases by 10% each, and the higher you raise this value, the greater the additional fee will be at every level. Due to these three variables, the power-up data class also contains the functions get base cost, get fee cost, and get cost. All these functions take a level as an argument and return the cost of the power-up, basically telling you how much the power-up will cost at a given level. We will only be using the getCost function in our other scripts, as it calculates both the base cost and the fee cost for us, and adds them together to give us the actual cost of the power-up at a given level. Upon adding the scriptable object into your project, you should now be able to create power-up data objects. Right-click on the project window, go to Create, 2D top-down roguelike, Power-up Data. Each of these power-up data files that you create will later represent one of the purchasable objects from the power-up shop. I will be creating the list of power-ups based on the power-ups list we see in the Vampire Survivors wiki. You can store these scriptable objects anywhere, but for the sake of keeping everything organized, I'm storing them in a newly created folder under Assets, Scriptable Objects, and then Power-ups. The values you will have to fill in for the scriptable objects are very similar to those of the passives, with the addition of base cost, base fee, and fee factor attributes. Last but not least, we will create a new power-up class as well. This will mostly be used together with the new save system later on. For now, because the power-up class inherits the passive class, it does not need much additional code as power-ups will work very similarly to passives. We simply add a nested data class in power-up which will be used together with the save manager later on. Now that our power-up data structures have been set up, we can move on to implementing our new save system. The first thing we will need to do is download and import the Bench Universal Save System asset into our own project. Head over to the Unity Asset Store and download our Bench Universal Save System. You can find the link for the asset in the description below. Then, in Unity, go ahead and import the asset under Window, Package Manager, and under My Assets, find the Bench Universal Save System asset and click Download, then Import. With the asset imported, let's retire our old Save Manager script by renaming it the old Save Manager and labeling it as obsolete. Then, we will create a new Save Manager script that we will be using to replace the old one. To understand how our newly replaced Save Manager works, we first need to look at how saving and loading is handled using the Bench asset. At its core, the Save Manager class needs to inherit from persistent object, and it must implement three key parts: a save function, a load function, and a nested save data class. These are what allow the system to properly store and retrieve data. On top of that, the Save Manager is also responsible for tracking the data inside the Save save data class. In our case, this includes two main things: the total number of coins the player has and the power-ups that the player has purchased. To manage coins, the Save Manager provides a few utility functions. First, get total coins allow us to check how many coins are currently stored in the save file. Then, we have add coins, which adds coins to the player's total and ensures that the value is safe. There's also try spend coins, which attempts to deduct a certain number of coins. If the player has enough, it returns true, otherwise it returns false. This function is especially important for our shop system later, as it determines whether a player can afford a power-up before applying it. In addition to coins, the Save Manager also handles power-ups. The get level and set level functions allow us to retrieve or assign the level of a specific power-up. If set level is caught on a power-up the player doesn't own yet, it will automatically add that power-up to their collection. We also have level up function, which increases the level of a power-up. If the player doesn't already own it, the function will add it first before leveling it up. To manage the full list of power-ups, Get All Power-Ups function returns everything the player currently owns, while Clear All Power-Ups function removes all of them, effectively resetting progress. Finally, the Find function allows us to locate the save data for a specific power-up. All of these functions are designed to work together with the power-up screen that we'll be building later on. If some of them seem a bit confusing right now, don't worry. Once we implement the power-up system, their purpose will become much clearer. Now that the power-up scripts and assets, as well as the bench universal save system have been set up, we'll need to create the scene that the user can go to for buying power-ups. Since this power-up screen is quite similar to some of the screens that we have already created, we will duplicate our existing character select screen from part 24 as a starting point. To do so, select the scene file and press Ctrl D. Then, name the newly duplicated scene as power-ups screen. Reorganize the UI in your new scene so that it looks like this. As for the actual power-ups inside the scroll view, we'll just create a single power-up for now, as we'll be populating the rest of the power-ups via a script later. Make sure that your layout can accommodate having multiple tick boxes as well through the use of a horizontal layout group. The scroll view itself should also be able to automatically lay out your power-ups through the use of a grid layout group. You should already have this if you're duplicating the character select screen. To lay out power-ups will be under this content, and the horizontal layout group to lay out tick boxes should be under tick boxes. To provide functionality to the power-up selection screen, we will create a new UI power selector script, just like we created the UI character selector and UI level selector scripts previously. The UI power selector script works very similarly to the UI character selector and UI level selector scripts. The functions contained within are either designed to be used by the in-game UI elements or the inspectors. In the script, the functions of note are sync ticks for all and the refresh UI after load. These functions bind to the onPowerups change event declared in the Save Manager script, allowing it to update the tick boxes whenever the user buys or resets their power-ups. In the UI Power Selector script, we hook the functions to the events when the Power Selector screen is created and remove the function when the screen is destroyed. With the UI Power Selector script now created, you can attach the component to the container in your scroll view that directly contains the toggle box for the power-ups in the UI that you created previously. Once you have set this up, you will also need to hook actions to the various buttons in your UI elements. To your toggle, you will need to assign the select function from the UI Power Selector. And the buy button needs to be assigned the buy function. Be sure to assign an action for the back button as well. You can either use the scene change function from scene controller or UI level selector. With the action set up, you should now be able to buy power-ups, as long as you have the coins to be able to afford them. Before you begin testing, however, we will also add a custom inspector to the UI Power Selector to automate the filling up of power-ups in the selection screen. We'll create a UI Power Selector editor script as well, and attach it to the UI Power Selector component. Since this is an editor script, make sure to add it to a folder called editor, otherwise it will break your game when building. This script simply adds a button to the inspector for the UI Power Selector component, so that we can click on the button to automatically search the project for all power-up data scriptable objects assets and insert them into the Power Selector UI. Once you are done setting up the UI, try playing the power-up screen and buying items on it, then unplaying the scene. If your save system is working, the items that you have bought should still be there, even if you unplay and replay the game. Now that your power-ups are saving properly when you buy them on the screen, we'll need to update the player inventory and player stat script to take these power-ups into account. The player inventory script currently manages the player's weapons and passives. we'll now need to update it so that we can add power-ups to it as well. The key additions to the player inventory script are essentially the available power-ups and power-ups list variables, which store the power-up data files that the player has access to and the currently applied power-ups respectively. On top of that, overloaded versions of the add, remove, and get functions have been added to the class so that we can create power-ups on the player character itself. In the start function, a small snippet of code was added to load all the saved power-ups in Save Manager into the player character. Now that the player inventory is able to check power-ups, we can now update the recalculate stats function in player stats to include the player's equipped power-ups. The last thing you need to do before you can test this out is to assign the available power-ups property to the player inventory component in all your scenes. Remember that in the previous part, we made our game save coins after every run. Because we've changed the save system, we'll need to update the save coins to stash function in our player collector script to use bench. We'll also need to update the UI coin display script to retrieve the new total coins variable from Save Manager as well as to have the coin display update whenever the player's coins are updated in the Save Manager script, such as when you buy a new power-up. And that is all for part 28 of the Vampire Survivor series tutorial. Thank you!